Welcome to another DragonLance Saga creator episode. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to create the 40th anniversary DragonLance logo, at least the one that I'm going to be using, because no one else has, which is weird, because DragonLance has touched so many people's lives in so many wonderful ways, and it's such a fantastic campaign setting. One would think, one of the most popular, not the forced campaign setting like Forgotten Realms. No. This is one people choose to enjoy. And you would wonder why no one wants to hype up, especially when you have a recent released source book. It's kind of a source book adventure. And then you also have another book being dropped, the very last book in the newest Dragonlance trilogy, Dragons of Eternity, in August. Why would WotC not want to celebrate that? I don't know, but I do. And I know a lot of you in the community do as well. Which is why this entire premise here is that I'm creating this logo to be used for the website landing page. And I can show you that in a minute here. But basically, it's also going to be used for the videos that I'm creating in order to celebrate and call for submissions for celebration of the 40th anniversary, to create that video and just to kind of have fun and talk Dragonlance for a little while on a Saturday afternoon. This is Memorial Day weekend, and so that means Monday is Memorial Day. So for those of you who may not know, Memorial Day is not for surviving veterans. That's Veterans Day. Memorial Day is specifically for those soldiers who fell in battle. Now, being a veteran, my son's soldier, active duty right now in the Marines, my father's, my grandfather, going all the way back, has all served in the U.S. Army. So I'm very proud that my son is serving, and I'm proud of those out there serving. And of course, it's important to remember those who have fought and died defending our rights and our way of life. So remember that on Monday, to take just a minute and reflect. And because of that, I'm actually using the Wounded Warriors as the nonprofit organization that I'm going to be using for sponsoring this video. Now, the Wounded Warrior Project, here I can show you, is, let me put my glasses on, began in 2003 as a small grassroots effort, and it provides simple care and comfort items to the hospital bedsides of the first wounded service members returning home from conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. And then it also provides services like mental health and career counseling and long-term rehabilitative care. The reality is our country isn't that great at taking care of its veterans, unfortunately. And so a lot of veterans don't get the care that they need. The suicide rate for veterans is incredibly high. So if you're capable, if you care about it at all, consider donating. All right. I don't see any of that money, by the way. It goes directly to the organization. I get emotional, as you can see. All right. So this is the idea that I came up with for the 40th anniversary logo. So basically, it's a logo extension, not necessarily like a direct logo. But basically, we have the 40, the numbers 40, and a dragon sort of blowing fire. And that fire becomes the 0 in 40, right? The hole there. Now, there's a couple different ways that we can approach this, and that's where I want your guys' input. So let me see if I can set this up. I can do a poll here. All right. Should it be a logo? Start poll. I wonder if I can do another one. Oh, I can't. All right. So basically what I mean by logo is, do you want this to look like a solid logo, for example, like the Dungeons & Dragons 50th anniversary, or any logo that you see in any business? Or do you want this to be more of an illustration, so it's got a little bit of style involved in it? That's what I mean. So if you want like a traditional looking logo, hit yes. If you want an illustration, hit no. Illustration is going to be a little bit more freeform, a little more dragon looking, whereas a logo is going to be very much a little more abstract and polished looking. My inclination is to do a logo, but an illustration might look kind of cool. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think throughout the course of this. And let me say hello. Goldmoon, thanks for tuning in live. Larry, how you doing? Anthony, what's up? Yeah, Got to celebrate, man. Got to celebrate. All right. Add my style. All right. Well, that would mean if you choose no, that means you want an illustration. If you choose yes, that means you want a logo. So keep that in mind as we're going through. Let's get a little bit of music. Of course, it's got to be Dragonlance. Let me pot it down a little bit so it's not insanely loud for everyone as I'm going through this. And not that, this. It's going to take a second to kick in. So the way that I do these, whenever I work on, I'm an art director, graphic designer professionally. Like that's how I make my living. And so you can see here that I've taken a photo of the actual sketch that I made, and I put it in Illustrator. And what you see is multiple layers, right? So the first layer is the template, which is just the photo. And the reason why I make it a template, which is an option in Illustrator, you can just sort of see template here, is that you can actually look at the outline mode while you're creating something. And let me just show you an example of what I'm talking about. So if we have a shape on the layer and it's black, I don't see the artwork that I'm trying to use as a reference. But then if you put it in outline mode, you can see not just the square of the shape that I just created, but you can also see the artwork underneath it. If I didn't have that layer in template mode, then you wouldn't be able to see the artwork at all. Not in outline mode and not in traditional mode. So these are just techniques that I use in order to come up with the artwork. Basically what I'm going to do is a line drawing, and then I'm going to go in and create the color and stuff like that. So we need to get a nice solid 4-0 as a baseline, and from there I'll add to it and add the curvature and stuff. But basically it's going to be a dragon, as you can see here. And let me just sort of draw it on the top of this here so you can see. Let's get a brush. Brush going. Yep. So basically we've got the dragon head right here, and the neck is moving all the way around to create the 4, but then the body would be swirling around and coming out to create the descender of the 4. And then we have a wing here that folds down and creates this little sort of the vertical stem of the 4, and the back of the body creating the O here. So you get a basic idea of what I'm going for with this dragon. So we're going to start with the 40 first. Hey Patrick, how you doing, man? All right, so we're just going to get a nice chunky font. Right now I'm kicking it at a 3820 4160 size of artboard, so it's 4K. And I just want something nice and thick and fat. I'm inclined to just sort of go with an Arial and see what it looks like bold, because I'm really just looking for a reference here. So I create outlines of the type, because type can only go so large. And that's not exactly what I'm looking for, but that's okay, because it's just going to be a reference. And then of course, we need to break those up, so I'm going to ungroup them so I can move the O separately. And I'm just going to sort of shape it to whatever I want it to look like. I don't mind the 4 being a little bit larger, but I'm going to adjust that descender myself, just so I can make sure it sort of works for my application. All right, so that's kind of, let me see here. Let's move this. If ever you're trying to keep vertical lines or horizontal lines clean, when you choose your access point, you hold shift and it'll keep you along that axis no matter how long you pull it, or it'll keep you at like a 45 degree, for example. In this particular case, I just want to close this up just a bit so I can have a nice reference. So then when we look in outline, It may be a little bit difficult to see on the screen, but you can see the 4 and 0 outlines on their own. And what I can do with this is just sort of close this up, so I have a nice basic idea of what I'm looking for. Is the music too loud? Let me know, and I can adjust it. All right, so now that I have my 4 and 0 sort of blocked in, I'm gonna change them to be kind of chunky lines here. So a lot of people are saying they want logos and not the illustration, which is interesting. So, I mean, I can do both and just have a vote about, you know, what people prefer. And if I'm going to do both, then here's what I want to do. I'm going to fatten this up just a little bit. Get a nice thick baseline here. Hey, Curtis. You'd like both, to be honest, okay? Well, it is a little bit extra work, but I don't mind. I'm going to adjust this just a little bit more. I'm not quite happy with where it is. That is assuming I can select it. Because I kind of want it to go in line with where the dragon's head is going to be. You know? Kind of. I don't mind it being a little out of whack. Or a little thinner. Because in reality, when I can't select this damn line. When I sort of chunk this up, for the logo, it's going to be a little bit more abstract. Sorry about that, people. It's going to be a little bit more abstract on the logo side of it because, of course, it's not adjusting for me. I'm just going to be using lines to indicate the dragon's head as the logo version rather than the illustrated version of the dragon. And the entirety of it won't actually be a dragon's body. It'll just be 40 with stylized dragon. So let's go ahead and start sort of blocking in this dragon and seeing what we can get it to look like. Because ultimately, what I'm going to do is... again, because it's going to be abstract, I'm going to sort of just play around and see what we can get here. What I like to do with dragons, I haven't drawn them since, since I was a kid, to be quite honest. And usually what I like to do, I'm going to be using white in order to knock it out with my stroke. So you can see how it's sort of cut into the actual 4 itself and creating the sort of shape of it. I want to beef up this stroke so that it really, really cuts in thick. And then I can actually use my path tool, my width tool, and adjust the thickness, oh, you stinking turd, the thickness of this stroke at varying areas in order to really make this look nice. So I'm going to undo that just so that we have a base so you can see what I'm talking about here. And I think the horn is going to go right near the back of the head. And you can see, because this is going to be the more logo version of it, it is going to be a little bit more abstract. So my real focus is going to be getting these horns to look indicative of actually being on a 3D head. So because the head is a little bit sort of turned toward us, almost like a 3/4 way, I'm gonna pick this other horn up. Let's see in my little sketch where I had it. I had it pretty far out actually. I'll pick this up right about here. Dragon horns are always pretty awesome. Mainly because you never really see a dragon use them, right? Like, the dragon is so tough. He doesn't even need to use his horns. Should we have, like, big old fat nostrils on these dragons? We can, like, have tendrils or something, but, I kind of want, like, nice and thick. And we can adjust the lip here in a second. Ultimately, what I want is a nice, big old meaty, fat dragon head. So we get a nice sort of skull. So we got this nice abstract look of the top of a dragon head. I'm going to work a little bit with... let me fill this with black so it's nice and hidden as well. And we'll bring this front side up. I'm not quite happy with the way that looks, so I'm going to get rid of that line. And I think what I'm going to do is maybe I'll just do an indication of the underline of the eye. Sort of like the lid of the eye itself. Now these lines are going to be infinitely thinner. I want to get a little bit of thickness here so that when I close this side, it's not entirely gone, you know what I mean? It doesn't disappear as a line. So we're getting an indication of an eye rather than a literal eye. Hey, MTB808, good to see you. Curtis, always great to see you tuning in. Who else we got here? OG Grognard, what's up, homie? All right, so you can get the indication that this is the top of a dragon head. He's going to be blowing that fire just to create that circle of the zero. Can I ask you guys a question? So I got a reply on the review I did about Steel and Stone, I think it was, between Kitiara and Tanis. Do you guys think, in your own personal opinions, based on Chronicles and any other books you may have read, does Tanis Half-Elven before Chronicles, after he was kicked out of Quelanost, after he left Quelanost, did he consider himself promised, sort of engaged to Laurana? Do you think, personally, that he felt he was engaged to Laurana? I think it's an interesting question because one of the viewers was adamant that, yes, he's engaged, but I don't think he considers himself engaged to Laurana. I think the whole point of him leaving was that it was a childish thing, and he doesn't feel that way. So I'd be interested to hear what other people say, because I'm open to all interpretations of it, and certainly mine is not de facto at all. All right, so let's get back to this. When we're dealing with this skull, the back of the head is going to be coming up, so you're probably not actually going to be seeing this high. So I'm going to add another waypoint right here. And the reason why I start with black always, one, whenever you're creating a new logo, you always want to make sure it looks good in black and white. First and foremost, that's a necessity because it's going to be knocked out of something. And whether it's knocked out of a particular color background or a pattern background, or whether it's going to be used very, very small, you want to make sure it's legible. And so that's why I always start with black, just to make sure that it is, in fact, legible. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move it here, and I'm going to add a little bit of curvature as if it was its back, just to sort of cover it up. So it looks like the top of the head is sort of curving back up and around, and I'll probably do some ridges of the four just to sort of intimate that it's the head, which is that mid bar of the four. It's the neck curving up and around, but because it's the logo, it's not exact. You think she thought they were for sure. For sure she did. I don't think Tanis felt that way either, Gold Moon. It is complicated. You might have once been in the situations where he was promised to her but realized he didn't want to be. So rather than confront the issue, he tried to avoid thinking about it. That's possible. That's entirely possible. Here's something that's kind of bugging me. The reality is we've got to think about this as a 3D face. And so this area right here is the back of the first nostril, the furthest away, and the closest nostril isn't even shown at this point. So let's go ahead and add some indication. And maybe I should do it like the eye, where I just show like the nostril itself rather than now let's sort of switch these around. Get rid of the stroke. That's a little bit big, I think. Let's shrink it down a bit. So that you know that up close on this side is this other side of the nostril. I'm not sure I want to go full detailed on it yet. But I don't know. We'll sort of play with it and see what happens. Now, what I like about the idea of like the skull of any large beast, whether it's like a horse or a cow or a dragon in this particular case, is you have this great sort of upper jaw portion that's super rounded. It almost looks like a cheekbone in this particular case, but its cheekbone would actually be a lot higher, closer to its eye. But they also have this membrane in most drawings that we see that sort of connects the lower jaw and the upper jaw. This membrane sort of stretches. In the illustrative version of this, we'll probably be a lot more literal with that membrane. In this particular case, I think maybe we'll just, I don't even know if we're going to show it. And I need to decide how far back I want his head to be. Let me close up this line a little bit because it is a bit thick for my tastes. And I want to close up this and this as well, just so it's nice and just sort of suggested because of the version that we're doing here. And you know what? Because this is the furthest part away, I'm going to thin up that stroke just a little bit as well. I want to make sure that the chunkiest parts are going to be the ones closest up. So I'm going to want to sort of fatten this bad boy up, give it a little thickness because it's up close. But because that nostril was so far away, I want it sort of pushed out, you know. And we'll play with placement of like nostrils and eyes and maybe horns and stuff later. But for now, I think I need to work on this lower jaw. And again, you know, I don't think dragons are like snakes where they can like detach their lower jaw to swallow larger creatures. Maybe they can in your fantasy, that's fine. In mine, I'm not 100%. The DragonLance Dragon Illustrated formed your imagination how Western fantasy dragons should look. DragonLance did a lot for the way dragons should look in fantasy. Ultimately, what I don't want to do is showcase... I gotta think about this jaw, how I'm gonna do this, because... yeah, I gotta think about this. I'm not sure I'm gonna like where this is going. Because ultimately what we need... I gotta move that behind. Oh, you turd. There we go. You're not going to see the inside of the other side of the jaw because the flame is coming out of it, and the flame is going to be knocked out, meaning it's negative space in the illustrative version of this, the actual like logo version of this, not the other version. You're glad you discovered this channel? Oh, I'm glad you discovered it too. Oh, cool. Well, I've got all sorts of stuff on here. Ultra American Tabletop Role-Playing Gamer. Thanks for tuning in live. Charles, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. I really do like the old school, oh, what are they? The gold dragons? They're like the Eastern looking ones. The Dungeons & Dragons new cover that they are releasing, they released some artwork for it. It looks like the gold dragon's going back to that old version, which I really personally dig. I really like that a lot. So let's look at the sort of sketch I've got here. His jaw is actually more open in the sketch, which I kind of like the a little bit more open. So let's just rotate this a bit, move it around until we're happy with where we want it to be. Little Bob Ross happy accident stuff. And that's about as close on the little sketch. I also want to have a lot of this. I want a bulkier jaw. This isn't quite doing it for me. Let's get some thickness here. Let's break it out. I don't mind a jaw being a little bit chunky because you've got bones, you got wounds, you got all sorts of stuff. And again, It's just an illustration, or this is just the logo version of it, so it's not going to be literal. Excuse me. Maybe that's not quite right. All right, so what do you guys think? What's the consensus? Did Tanis consider he was actually... You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get rid of this line. Was Tanis engaged to Laurana in Chronicles? Or was that just a child's imagination through Laurana? I do want to have this membrane here. It's got to be like super thin. It's going to have a little bit of white on it. I just like the idea of it. Now let's get some gums and some teeth indication. I think that's going to be some good stuff there. I imagine when a dragon opens his mouth, like my husky opens his mouth, he can easily just sort of lift his upper lips and reveal the teeth and get that nice snarl. And especially when it's expulsing? When it's spitting fire, I don't think it wants its lips in the way, you know? I'm sure he's protected from his own flames, but just for the sake of... Just for the sake of coolness looking factor, I want to see those teeth, you know what I mean? Thank you for the donation to the Wounded Warriors Project. I really do appreciate that, Ultra American. The vets need as much help as they can get, to be quite honest. All right, so this gum is going to be sort of sticking out, but it's got to stop because teeth are going to be in the way. Now, because the flame is going to be going out, you're only going to see the teeth on this side of the face, right? Because the other is going to be obscured by the flames. And then how big are dragons' front teeth? I have no idea. I want to imagine that they're pretty chunky, but I don't know. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some white, and I'm just going to kind of go in here and go over. Let me drop this down just a little bit behind layers. Get back there, sucker. All right. I'm just going to kind of draw right on top of it. Well, let me think about how I want to do this. And I'll go through and thicken up these lines and stuff as well. I just want to get a nice indication about these teeth. And because I'm doing a layer over, it gives me the option of, well, it gives me the illusion of having, and maybe it's a broken tooth. You know, they get thicker when you get closer to like the canine area. Maybe we do that. Let's keep that stroke here. And maybe he's missing a tooth. I mean, this is a dragon that's clearly seen battle, right? Why are you so far up? Let's get rid of that. That's why you were far up. Anytime you see like whiteness coming through, you can just draw a little black circle, because ultimately what we're going to do eventually is outline everything, remove any extra lines that you're going to see. Like, for example, you can see the tooth lines coming up and sort of overlapping each other. We'll get rid of all of that once we're done and stuff. But again, I don't want to be too detailed, because maybe I just do upper teeth to the fang part, and then I don't go any further than that. Let's see what it looks like here. I do want to get these teeth starting to get bigger, though, because this is clearly a big bad dragon, right? We don't want no fake dragons here. All right, so aside from Tanis, that we were just talking about, who is your favorite DragonLance character? It could be a good or bad character. I don't judge. I love the bad guys too. But who's your favorite? You know what I kind of want? I kind of want some overlapping teeth too. So I'm going to have this tooth going a little further back than maybe it should, just so I can play with that a little bit. Yeah. And then this tooth will be a little bit overlapping it. Favorite DragonLance character? Let's hear what you guys got. Flint, Anthony. Flint is your favorite. He's so great. He's such a great curmudgeon too. You know what I mean? Like, he's definitely moody, like just the right amount of moodiness, but then he genuinely cares about the people he sort of has in his life. I think that's one of the most important things in life, is the people that you choose to love, that you choose to care for, are told so that they know where they stand with you. Because quite frankly, you don't know how long you're going to be around or how long they're going to be around. So let them know what you think. Let them know how you feel. You know, the people that you do truly care for. All right, we're getting close to like molar area, so I'm going to sort of round these out just a little bit more. I don't know why it keeps going to no strokes. Let's see. I don't know, where else do I want to go with this? Let me just close it up with gums, and we'll just see what it kind of looks like. White here. All right, so let's play with some thicknesses. We want these teeth to look vicious, right? We don't want them to look sort of cheesy. And we can see that... Let me cover this up. We don't want to see that. Or this. Or that. In the illustrated version of this, rather than the logo version, I'll end up doing color and all sorts of stuff like that, so it'll look a little bit better, or a little different anyway. Let me look here. I gotta move you in so I can grab you. Because it's underneath the upper lip layer, it's hard to grab. It keeps wanting to grab that upper lip. So here, maybe I'll do this. I'll move it out here. I'll thicken it up here. And then I'll move it back. Nope. Get you. There we go. And then we'll close up these gums so they're not square. Because really, gums, you just want indication, right? You don't want it. You don't want it to be overtaking the actual point of the image here by being too hyper-focused, you know? We're going to close up these gum lines. And this is tough because I've got a circle, so I'm going to close it up earlier. And you can see where that circle is, so... just deal with it there. And I'll back up so you guys can see what it looks like here on the outside. But we want that nice and thick. And really, I think on the underside... maybe I want to have those a little bit thinner too. So we'll get the front of these teeth a little bit thicker. And the backs of the teeth a little bit thinner. But we don't want the gums to be thicker, you know. That would just look that's a little too much. That would look a little bit too weird, I think. But I don't mind the teeth themselves being just a little chunkier. Especially when we shrink this up. And, you know, you won't be able to see them. All right, so we've got the top teeth sort of gnarled and overlapped and twisted. He needs a dentist pretty badly. All right, who you got? Raceland or Kitiara? Can't decide, Charles. All right. I mean, they're both good choices. So you're a forever GM and a sucker for the bad guys. So what's up? Here. All right. You know, this membrane, I kind of want it to... I kind of want to do like a little bit of like Freddy Krueger's face. He's got like those like sort of like pulled skin in portions. If the dragon's mouth is open, then he's probably going to have that skin pulled. So let's do that really quick. I don't know why this isn't adjusting the way I want it to, but it's kind of driving me nuts. Just get rid of my fill, and that'll solve the problem. All right, so we want these lines to be a little bit thicker, just so you can kind of see them. So let's just fatten up some of them. And usually when you're working with lines, you want the like the midpoint of the line to be the fattest and the end point to be the thinnest with illustration. Again, everyone's style differs slightly, so just do whatever you feel is good. But I kind of wanted it something like that, so it looks like the membrane itself is sort of stretching. And as you can see, the smaller it gets, you're probably not really going to notice those types of details. But we know that they're there. And that's really all that matters, right? So you can see the dragon taking a big old bite of that 4. Nom, 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 nom. Nice. Eat that 4, sucker. All right, let's do some bottom teeth, and then we can start moving on to the flames. So again, for the bottom teeth, what we don't want is to have a hard line for the bottom of the gums. So I'm going to have the bottom of the gums come up sort of out of the mouth out of nowhere, and then we're going to start seeing the teeth, similar to what we have with the top. So we'll start here, and I'm going to break this line as we're going up. I don't want to get too ridiculous because these are front teeth after all. Let's see, how am I going to do this? Let's sort of have some fun with it and see what happens. Assuming I can select this doggone point here. Yeah. I want to see some nice, jagged teeth. And you always want to try to, because I'm overlapping these shapes, you want to try to have that fill in place so that it cuts off the stroke and fill of the other layer of art underneath it, right? Because we're creating a... I don't know, how many front teeth should I do here? I'm not sure. After Tannis, it's Fizzban. Fizzban's your favorite. What is it about old wizards that attracts people to them? I don't mean like physical attraction. I just, you know, like, what is it about a character like Fizzban? Is it his sense of humor? Because you have the same thing with Gandalf, you know? Is it just that they're sort of super powerful and they've lived, and so they, you know, they got the little wise, smart-ass sort of vibe to them? Is that what you like about it? I'm always kind of curious. Because I'm kind of hit or miss on Fizzban most of the time. I want to do some varying size teeth here. Fizzban's not always... Well, he's rarely uber helpful. More like accidentally helpful, and I understand that's by design. But we're going to have him missing another tooth here. Because why not? Dragons are getting caught on all sorts of stuff all the time, right? Your heroes is chainmail. You think that is easy to break through? No, 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 no. Chainmail's rough. Oh, you turd. That stroke keeps dropping off. Let me look at this. I always like zooming in and out so I can get a good idea about what we're actually looking at. This is, I mean, this will never be seen in the small size that it's probably going to be reflected in. Gosh, yeah, I don't know. That's more like the back side, the far side of his jaw than the front side. So maybe it's okay that we have that there. I don't know. Let me add some thickness and just see what we look like. I'm saying we. Well, it's clearly not us. It's this stanky breath dragon. Maybe that would be a good adventure story arc. Heroes having to go through and like give dragons breath mints. Because let's be honest, they probably got some funky ass breath. I mean, I don't think humans and gnomes and, you know, the stuff, other dragons, you know, whatever dragons are eating, I don't think they're not going to smell good. It's going to smell horrible. Maybe that's enough just for an indication. It's kind of pissed off. I do kind of want to do like these little, see, here's the biggest problem is I'm going to get too in the weeds. Oh, no, mama. Let's fatten that up and then shrink that down. I'm going to get too in the weeds with details when I just said that I wouldn't do a bunch of details. And that's kind of where we are right now. All right, so when we're thinking about fire coming out of this dragon's mouth, I imagine the closest up it's going, I'm not going to be dealing with color at this very moment, but it's going to be like super white hot, and then go to blue, and then go to sort of yellow, and then we get sort of touches of oranges, and maybe at the very ends, little flicks of red and stuff. For this, because the fire is supposed to create this sort of swirling ball effect to create that O, I really need to do like a massive like burst out of it. So this is going to be underneath all of the other layers. And I do like the idea of it sort of curving out and up. Ooh, not like that. Come on. Let me see here for a second. How far out do I want this to go? I want it to break the line of his upper teeth. And this is going to be underneath those layers. So let me sort of shrink it back. Sort of end that, but I want it to be in front of this O, of course. Get rid of this black. And because it's going into this sort of large sort of space here, I'm going to have to close up this blackness here. We'll just have this be straight black. We'll bump it down underneath all of the other layers until we hit that stroke. There we go. Oh, no, got to get under that lip. There we go. And then we need to do the bottom line. This really does look like it's coming from the back there. Let me fatten up these lines. Now, everyone's idea of what fire looks like is going to be slightly different, as far as like illustrative techniques and stuff. So this is just my version. If yours differs, that is quite okay. I will not judge you. I'll judge you for other things. As we all do. Just cover this up so we don't have to see it. The reason why I use Illustrator for stuff like this is because you can size it to any size, and it'll always maintain perfect vector lines, meaning pixels are made up of tiny little squares. So when you zoom in on most photos, you see little squares of color. So the larger you make them, outside of their original sizing, you're sort of pixelating them and blurring them out because you're blowing up these pixels squares larger than they can be used properly. So by using Illustrator, you're using vector art, so it's mathematical lines rather than pixels, so it can be scaled to any size and remain perfect every single time. As you can see here, even when it's super tiny, you can still see that dragon head, and when we zoom in super tight, it's still super sharp. So that's why I prefer Illustrator for stuff like this. Now, what I don't like to see here is this crossbar coming over, because ultimately I want this to be white. And so I want, let me just grab this anchor point and pull it in. So I want that to be hidden, because it's going to be the flame. All of this is going to end up being white through here. So the edges, when we're working over black, I want the strokes, the outline of the line itself, to be white so that it can be seen against the black. But over here, because we're actually going to be creating this oval shape, we're going to be using white on the side that's overlapping the outside of the zero, But inside, we're going to have to use black to sort of indicate the flame going out, hitting, and then swirling back around on itself. You know what I mean? So let's do a couple of these, and let's just see if we can make it look, I don't know, interesting. Ultimately, what I don't want to do is get too in the weeds with this stuff, because you really just want indications of flame. You don't ever really want to go with literal you know, like individual swirls, because then it starts to look like hair. You know what I mean? So we're just going to do some sort of like indications of the flame hitting and then curling back over itself. And in some cases, that's going to mean that we got this overlap, and it's sort of like an arcing shape. Black to this one. Just thicken this up a bit. We're just going to do a bunch of these. And it may not initially at first start really looking like what we want it to look like. But with enough time, it may. And it may not. Who knows? It's trial and error. That's what design is. You gotta see what works and adjust if it doesn't. I want to make sure we get some nice curls here. And we can look at my sort of sketch here and maybe even use some of this as an example of where we want to go. Shrink up this line here. I'm going to close that up. I don't like that. Just keep it sharp. Bring this anchor point in. And maybe this is a little bit too much, so I'll just delete that point, and we'll see what that looks like. Let's add our white stroke. Oh, it is there. You just can't see it. So we're going to reverse this so we can see it with the black. Let's just fatten this bad boy up. We need just a little bit of weight to give us an indication of space and stuff. And we'll just keep doing this for a little while. Not all of them are going to be incredibly clear. You know what I mean? Some of it's going to be less so. This one I want to reverse because it's going into the black. And then let's see, let's do an undercut here. This one, I could use my pen and just do some swirls, and that might actually end up being faster than using the pen tool. Let's get this here up here. Let's see what that looks like. If I just do that, it may not end up working, but who knows? So we want like thin, and then go a little bit thicker, and then go thin again. And we'll just sort of go over and over around this back side here. It's a little bit shaky when I use the brush, which is why I'm not hugely keen on it. But I do like the idea of it, this flame sort of curling back around on itself. Just comes back and around. almost like it hit a wall or something, you know what I mean? Just get some indications of motion. And then we'll just go in and white out behind it after I make all these little squiggles black. But it's supposed to be abstract. It's not supposed to be quite literal. So we get a nice sort of indication here. In this particular case, I'm going to break this line. Let me do it this way. It's coming back around on itself. Sturm, nice. Spewage. That's right. So I don't know. Should I keep it black and just use the white as the indication that it's flames for the illustrative version, and then I'll add color later on? Let's see what this looks like with white. In which case this needs to be black right here. So these two need to be black. I'm going to go in here and just put this underneath it. Let's see what this one does. But basically what I'm doing right now is just filling in a background. And I can clean it up and make it, you know, cleaner and tighter in a little bit. But I want to get an indication of what we're looking at here. But I don't want to meet any of these anchor points at the end of any of this stuff, because then it'll make it one solid line, and I don't want that right now. I want this to be completely white on the inside, so that when I push it back, I guess I could just go all the way back and come forward. And then all of these lines I will start to make, let's see, black. So they show up on top of that white layer. Hopefully that makes sense. Clear as mud. Make that black. And let's clear the insides of these as we're going, because these are just indications. These are suggestions of the flame, not literal flame. And the more abstract we are with this, the smaller you get, the better it'll look. At least that's what I'm hedging on. Because when you start to look at this, it does start to look like sort of like this ball just going out. I actually don't mind his teeth sort of breaking through, because you would have that sort of blinding bleed through of indications of teeth, but the flame would sort of be going out and around it as well. Maybe I'll do a little indication of some teeth here as well. Just so that we can well, just because I want to. I don't need a reason. We are getting a little bit closer to molar territory. So I do want to sort of fatten that up and make it a little more rounded. Turd. There we go. So I'll start to do that with this next one. We still want a little bit of an edge there. But again, we just want suggestions of this stuff. We don't want actually seeing every little tooth. Stop it. inside of these white, and then cover this up. I don't want to see that little black dot. And let's pull this line down here. Where are you? Nope. Come on now. Turd. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to fatten these up and thin them out. I want the front ones, the front of the teeth to be thicker, the back of the teeth to be thinner. Did I mess that up? Nope, I do not want it round. Come on, baby. There you go. A little bit thicker, and then super thin and sharp. This, I want to vary it a little bit. Since it's a molar, it's going to look a little bit wonkier than a regular one, just for the ridges in the tooth itself. When my clients, well, a lot of the clients I work with are in the dental industry, and it is kind of a pain in the tuchus sometimes dealing with that stuff because people are so sensitive about their teeth. Understandably so. But yeah, I mean, people get crazy about teeth. And it's a huge industry too. Like you wouldn't, well, maybe you would think it, maybe it is obvious, but you know, people get embarrassed if their teeth look a certain way. What I can't stand is fake white. I think there's nothing worse than fake white teeth. Like that blindingly, you know, those stinking commercials that talk about having pristine napkin test white teeth. It's so unnatural. It looks so fake. I just can't imagine why people think it looks good. But if you do, that's all right. Do your thing. It's just not for me. Let's see. Let's see. I want you to be black. I need to fill that with white. And send it to the back. Come up just a little bit. So we do get these sort of indications here. I'm going to mess with the thickness of the widths of these, just so it's a little more consistent. Yeah, that's it. Why can't I select you? Why can't I select you? Are you too far back? What's going on? Why can't I select you? Ooh, what is happening? It's not deselecting. That's odd. Come on now. Bring you up to the front. So I can grab you. Just move you right into that line and shrink you down. Oh, you turd. Why can't I select you? I'm getting some weird... It's because this bad boy is so close to it. Alright, I'm about to lose my cool. I can select you to move you. Why isn't this tool working? Do I need... Huh! That's odd. That really bothers me. I don't want that much of an overlap of those shapes. There we go, there we go. we can hide this template layer so you can see on its own what it kind of looks like and get an idea. Hey, Mr. Mundane. Yeah, broken teeth. You got to have some of those, right? You know what? These coming up in front, I need to... It's got to be black. Let's increase the size of these because... Let's see what else we got here. I want to be able to see them, you know? I'm going to need them chunkier too. Here you are. I need to see this chunk. So weird. I don't know, man. Does that give you the indication of teeth without going too overboard? We got to deal with the gum factor right here because this is going to drive me insane. Let's fill this in with black and look at the line that we need to follow here. And we've got to go all the way to the gums here. And close it all up. Okay, so we'll make that black. We'll move it back. And this... No, that's up. Why is that showing like that? That's right. Oof, that's going to be rough. Let me fill this in with white. All right, the tapered lines make all the difference, like little calligraphy. Hell yes, they do. They really, really do. And then you got some examples here that's just not working. So let's change this up. Let's get rid of the white center. Use a white fill. And then this line right here. No, I'm okay with that. Let's see. Let's fill this with white. Give it a black stroke. Let's close up the thickness of this line. Oh, you know why this probably isn't working? Because it was my brush. I was using the brush tool for that. And that's why it's not letting me give that sharp tapered edge. So what I can do for those is just create it with an arc. So you create this white arc, and then suddenly you've got a nice little tapered edge there. This right here, I want to see what's going on here because this isn't not working for me. Let me get rid of that dot. And these are really chunky and weird. I'm just not okay with it. I need them to be more delicate. And then use the width tool to adjust that. I can't because it's the brush. You stinking brush. Okay, so we've got an indication. This is going to drive me nuts right up here. What's happening here? We've got all sorts of stuff going on. Do we need this line? No, we don't. There. And this. Make that curve in. Okay, bad boy right here. Nope, nope. Bring this bad boy down. I don't mind little break lines like this because your eye is not really going to be focused on any of this. It's going to be focused on... so let me drop this below that one. Come on, yo. There you go. Okay. Because your eye's not going to be focused on each individual little flame bolt, like, I don't know, rolling flame. It's going to be focused on the overall. So what I do kind of want to do is have a little bit of just like something moving out here. So let's add a little bit of, just a little bit of width there. Let's zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. Close it up here. And I'm probably, when I'm done with the stream, going to go back and redo some of this other flame stuff because that kind of bothers me. I'm not 100% okay with that yet. Let's get some black stroke. Add a little bit of thickness. Close up our gap on the ends. Don't want to do too much because then you lose the point, right? Okay, so we have the basic idea of the logo, which will eventually go to the illustration here. You can see the sketch. So for the illustration, I'll be doing the wing coming down the descent of the back of the 4. I'm not sure with the logo version if we should do that. Like, how much is too much? Now, for 40th anniversaries, I believe ruby is the color that you're looking for. And so just for fun, let me select the same fill and stroke. No, let's select the same fill. And let's find a good ruby. Oof. No, we want like a bit of a deeper, but not like a super dark. And what I'm probably going to end up doing, now let me add stroke color, select same stroke color. Let me add this as a swatch so I can always reference it. I'll add depth to this. So same stroke color, reference that same swatch. So ultimately, for example, and maybe I'll just do this right now. Like, why not? Because this is a dragon's head, it's going to be casting a bit of a shadow, especially with all this fire creating light, right? Light and shadow. So I want to reference the same ruby color, but then get it a little bit darker. You know what I mean? A little bit darker. Because that's the shadow that the head is casting. And that's going to go all the way to the back. Ultimately, what I'm going to do is sort of subtract the shapes, but for now, I can just line it up here. And that just adds a little bit of depth. And we can do that for other parts of it, the face too, just to show the curvature of the facial form. What we don't want to do is have it overtake everything, but we do want to see it, you know what I mean? And that'll help us actually, well, let's do this. Have this underneath the eye. Just for depth. So I'll be adding these sort of shadows like this, but then I'll also be adding highlights that actually give you an indication of I've got this real quick, indication of volume and shape and stuff. So I think this entire membrane here needs to be the shadow color. Oop, mama. Oh no. What'd you do? Be cool. Like the phones. What's the phones like? Cool. That's what it's like. Oh, I made the mistake of connecting it. It looks like. Yeah. Here we go. want that white to go all the way over. All right, so we're going to do this. Just get nice and close to it, but not actually like touch it. We'll have it match that color, go all the way back, and then slowly come forward. Let's get rid of this fill so that we can actually see it through it. That just helps add a little dimension. And we'll do this for everything, basically. And ultimately, it's because this light source of the flame is pushing shadow backward, right? So we need to indicate that somehow. You know, the more I look at this, maybe these are just straight white. Because it's not really adding anything with that real nice thick blast just shooting out. What the heck is this? No siree. I do not like this. Not one little bit. Guess we have any white here. No white zone. Oh, mama. All right, what is going on? This is going to drive me nuts. Maybe even with the gums. Maybe all of the gums are like this. Well, I don't know, because it would just be like sort of above it, you know? Because it's the back side. That's sort of the upper part of the gums that curves in just a little bit. Who would have thought you needed to know so much about teeth in order to draw a dragon, huh? Kind of messed up. And let's just push that back a little bit. And because I'm doing just a bunch of different color shapes, it makes it kind of difficult to find the exact position. That needs to go behind it. That needs to go back underneath it. This. All right, that's going to drive me nuts. I need you. Well, no, that's not bad. Because we're just giving indication at this point, right? Yeah, we're just giving indication. It's getting there. It's going to take a long time for me to see it where I want it to be. I want a nice thick shadow. Going across here. From the schnoz. And then the underside of these horns too. Just a little line to give you a nice indication. In this particular one, I want to see the curvature here. So let's get it right up to that. And there we go. Just so you can sort of see the indication. I wouldn't actually mind seeing the tips of this either. Hold on, let me think about this for a second. I want to see the indication of scales without actually going into full depth and showing scales, you know what I mean? Now, if the neck is coming out here, then it curves around and up, so it twists, so everything on this under backside is in shadow. So that's where we really need to start thinking about the curvature of this head. And because we're using straight shapes here, I don't know how important it is to get exact. Let's shoot this back, move it up. I want this filled. That was not good. Come on, baby. Send you back. Get back to where you once belonged. So you're sort of seeing the rounded shape of the neck here, but because we're working with an actual 4, this face of the 4, that sort of blunted nose, you start to wonder, what is it exactly you want to... Oh, wait, what? What happened to you? Come on now. Come on. Don't be shy. Get your tuchus up here. Gotta move it around. There you go. Too much. Because I do want to see the roundedness of that eye without having a hard line on that eye. But again, we are sort of going into some dangerous territory of getting too detailed. That's why. Okay, let me look here. You're the problem. Because we had that going up and over. Okay, so you see the curvature of the eye, the top of the eyelid, the highlight underneath it. The more we get into illustrative territory and less logo territory, the more we're getting away from outlines. You're wanting color and shape to indicate form rather than a hard line, like an illustrative line. And that's what you want to kind of avoid. Thanks, Chris, for donating to the Wounded Warrior Project. I appreciate you. All right, let's see. You're learning all about Illustrator and shopping on eBay. Nice. And what we could also do is sort of just add some shapes underneath this that sort of indicate the curvature of the flames without actually going into too much detail here. Send this all the way to the back and just bring it up. So the fire is casting a shadow of its own, almost. So you're sort of seeing the light pushing back. And when we're talking about, here's the thing I want to sort of address really quick. We can see the top of this eyelid, but we can't see the top of this nostril. And look, I'm not a big fan of nostrils personally, but I mean, we should show the dude's nostril, right? I mean, if we're going to be showing the top of the eyelid, we got to show the top of the nostril too, right? Just give an indication that there's a shadow behind it, you know what I mean? I like the indication of messy folds of skin and stuff, you know. And of course, whenever you have a jaw, you have that sort of part that's a little bit hollow here. Everyone's got it. Don't be hating. Human body's so weird. Like all forms are so strange. When you think about how we evolved as species and just how crazy our biology and all the animals' biology on Earth is simply because we evolved from underwater, it really makes you sort of reevaluate what normal is supposed to be, because we are just a strange looking species. So this is going to be the shadow of that horn. I just got to push it back. And because we have the top of the head suggested on that curve, I can't have the shadow go down below that line. Right? So it's just suggested. We're getting a little bit messy. I'm not sure we need all this stuff. Because again, I just want to suggest. What I do like the idea of, though, is this. Let's get a nice curved shadow here from this light, this hard light that's coming right out at it, creating this O in the 40. 40! Did you guys ever watch Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back? Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian. He was my hero as a kid. Lando Calrissian was dope. I always imagined he always got all the girls, and I was a weird, gangly kid. Arguably, I'm still weird and gangly. But I wasn't really good with the girls. So I always idolized him because I always thought he was, you know? He had that suggestion of success with the ladies when I was a little kid. And that was enough for me as a young man. Like, I was just like, oh, he's cool. He can get ladies. If it wasn't for Han, he totally would have had Princess Leia, right? Did you see Lord Soth is the new... Yeah, I did. Actually, Mr. Welsh, the YouTube channel, does a great job talking about Miss Star and everything. But he sort of fixed some of those problems that that book had or presented. Ooh, mama. Whoa, no. With Dragonlance, because apparently it's focused on like lycanthropes, which is a weird choice for a Dragonlance based game because it's not really a thing in Dragonlance. Werewolves. So I don't know why WotC made Dragonlance section of that a werewolf fighting thing, but they did. Just goes to show you they have no idea what they're doing. Like at all. It's pretty shocking, actually. All right, let's see. Something's going on. Something funny is going on here. I want this to go around and find that line. So that goes back over here. And follow this line back. I want this to be white, and then we'll push it back. Because it's got to be underneath those strokes. There we go. That's what I was looking for. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sharpen that edge. Just so we have just a little bit of light pushback, you know what I mean? All right, so we've got some darkness. We've got that neckline here. So because the neckline's there, the thing is, I don't want to get too light and dark because it moves a little further away from being a illustration or a logo and goes into illustration territory. And I'm not really okay with that yet. I think this needs to go back a little bit more. Oh, it's this one. Come on, Poppy. You took us back there. Why isn't this working? Oh, I know why. Because that's filled. Nope. We do not want to do that. So let's bring it back to the front and I will clean it up. The old school way. Undo is your friend. So we know I wanted that hint. So let me just grab this You stinking turd. Let me just grab this doggone anchor that does not want me to grab it. And throw it up here. Right there. And I'll add Well, here's what we're going to do. My anchor point tool. And we will curve that ourselves and then close that end up. And you, I don't know what you're doing, but it ain't cool. Moving on up. All right, there we go. All right, Sith Heroes, thanks for tuning in, man. Let's see. I have like 50 layers. I have a lot more than that, I think. But that's okay. Because basically 2 layers and then all the little paths inside of that. It doesn't matter. We're going to end up flattening it all anyway once it's finished. So I'm not particularly concerned about it. What I am concerned about is getting the underside of this. So the light is coming this way. You can see the shadow of this top horn that's furthest away pushing back against its body as the neck curves back and up. So we need to have the same thing happen with this other horn. However, because the curvature of the body, we might not even see that. So I'm just going to sort of indicate it here and we'll see what happens. We want to get all the way to the base of it. Curve it back up, and then just push it back. So you see that curvature going up. The head itself, you know, we're going to have some deep shadow all the way through here. So I want to go all the way to the end. I don't know, do I just connect the whole thing or do I leave like a little suggestion here? Like a curve. So that it does look like it's all underneath. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. Okay, so for this logo version, do you want... how do I stop this poll? End poll. For this logo version... do you want it to be hard lined with that 4 on the nose, or do you want it to have a little bit more form? And you know what we can do is we can even add here a suggestion of the shadow in front of it, because the center of light's here, casting shadow all around it. Now, of course, the shadow would be on the outside. It would be lightest up close, but I just like the dynamic look of it when it's underneath. It also pushes the indication of the light forward as well. So if we just sort of look at this on its own... Yeah, 40. I'm not happy with the inside of that fireball. So I'm going to come back. It's looking a little bit like a brain to me. And I'm not okay with that. So I'm going to have to revisit that. But I am liking the dragon head. Oh, let me ask about extension. Here, let's do another poll. Or not a Q&A. Let's see, a poll. Should it be 40th anniversary? Oh, wait, no. How am I going to do this? It's not a multiple choice. Add option. Oh, can I take away options? No. All right, screw the poll. Let me know, put it in chat if you want to see this as 40th anniversary or 40 years. Because ultimately when I pair it with the DragonLance logo, that I sort of created from the, here it is. So this is the vector version of the logo that I created from the calendar, the original first calendar, 1984. Actually, I think it was 1985 calendar. But I ended up taking it into Photoshop and making it look, you know, better, more dynamic looking. Do you want it to look like it's 40th or 40th anniversary or 40 years, or like, let me know the sort of the language, the verbiage that you want me to use for that, because it's going to be important. All right, let's see here. Should we do indication of, for the logo itself? I don't know if we want to do an indication of, this is going to drive me nuts. Because this 40, the 4 doesn't feel like it's connected to the 0 to me, and I want it to feel connected. So if we did like a box, it's just a hint of that line. Gosh, maybe I just get rid of these. I can always re-add them if I want to. But the truth is I don't like how it looks right now. And when I use the brush, it means I can't adjust the width the way that I want to. And that kind of sucks. So if we just, so if we just keep it as abstract as possible. What's going on with this? What is this? You need to come all the way up here, baby. Oh no, I'll fill that in. And we can just start from white. And move out from there, you know. Whoa, mama. I don't know, man. Maybe not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe I just thin out the inside blurbs rather than just getting rid of all of it. How many squiggles do you really need to tell you that there's fire? Fire! You want to be a little bit rough, right? Just around the edges, just a little bit. Yeah, I don't know, man. This one is bugging me. All right, because again, this is going to be very small. So if I, let me put the current logo here real quick. I'll put it on its own layer. This is what my filing system looks like. So this is the logo I use at the top. I'll get rid of the Saga part just so it's focused on DragonLance. And I'm not sure how I'll place them together. Let me do this really quick. So I'll do object, expand appearance, type, object path, outline stroke. If you don't outline your strokes, when you start to shrink or enlarge an image with strokes, those strokes will also shrink and enlarge, but not in proportion. And so it'll look a little bit wonky. So I always try to adjust it. I'm just going to grab this and just sort of put them together and see what we like. How big do we want this 40 to be, you know what I mean? In relation to DragonLance. And there is some natural sort of place to put it right here. So it'd be like 40 years and then DragonLance maybe. Let's see, how big do we want this? Because the reality is I don't want to violate the DragonLance logo itself, but I do want the 40 to be on or around it. You know what I mean? So I'll add some highlights and stuff for this. The white here will be basically just transparency. So it'll, like, whatever's behind it will end up being that color of white. I can actually give you an example here. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Select same fill or fill color. So here on the gray, ooh mama, what are you doing? Let's group it all together. Not with you, yo. Get away. All right, there we go. So you can see if we put like a black background, it would come through as black, and just, you know, whatever background it's on, that's what it'll echo with. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Because the reality is the DragonLance logo has dimensionality, right? We have a bunch of these Celtic knotwork, sort of like metal line work going around the lance. Is there room for a Valenwood tree or flying citadel somewhere toward the top of the O? That's a little bit too much for a logo. It's more like a painting. I don't know. You want to keep it basic. You don't want to go too crazy with it. I think this right here is going to bug me too. Oh, you turd. Let me know. Let me know how you want this placed and stuff. Does that make any sense what I'm asking? Let me try to be clear here. Do you want... That's better. So if we did years, let's just figure out years. I imagine the years could be in like a script font or something. Here, let me get another table here, artwork table. So I don't have that white background. So the years could, the years could actually be in this color, coming off of it. And we could actually add a cutout. So let's see, add new stroke. We want this to be pretty thick, and then add new fill. And we'll go right back to that deeper red that I do not actually have a swatch for. Let's create it. It's got to be chunkier than that to be legible. And then ultimately I'll have it behind this. So let's see, that's not actually going to work. So I'm going to have to put this in front of it. Nope. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I feel that a little bit more. But it does mean I've got to block out that behind it. I don't like the idea of having a little hole of the red coming through. Okay, so let's see what it looks like in some form of like a script or something. I've got to have a script font in here somewhere. This does actually remind me of some of the like newer Dragonlance novel font stylings. Sort of like messy. I don't hate that. Let's see what this looks like here. We might have to have this larger. And then let me fill this in real quick, because I don't like seeing that strokes coming through here. "40 years of Dragonlance." And let me just go ahead and get rid of this saga so that we don't see it. It's not distracting. It is going to affect that shadow, so I'll fix it later so that it's perfectly taken care of. But just for now, hiding it. Let's group those together. So we don't want the 40 years to overtake Dragonlance, but we do want it to be associated and connected to it. I don't know, how in depth do we sort of integrate it? You like the 40 on top of the logo. Do you like the years? Should years be huge? As big as the... just so you can see it? As big as the 40? Oh, mama. And that would also... ooh, what the hell is going on here? What is that? There. It would actually help a little bit with the problem I'm having. With all this excess brain-looking pieces. I'd have to probably add... Let me adjust this width. I have to add a little bit extra and stuff. Just sort of give indication. And then in here, this is going to bug me. And we'll switch that around. Years is okay. All right. So 40 years. Got the dragon breathing fire. We've got Dragonlance sort of nestled underneath it. And I'll do some more work on the 40 to really sort of make it how I, kind of want it to look. Because what I do still want to do, let me not do it to that one. Let me do it to this one. I do kind of want to see indications of scales, right? So, like, this is the shadow of a scale. Let's see, how would that work? Just sort of, that's too much. That's too checkerboardy. But I do want to get some sort of indication somewhere, somehow. And maybe it's, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that for a little bit. Is it way too much to make yellow eyes? Yeah, the whole point is that it's, in the illustrated version, I can definitely do that if we want to go that direction. In the logo version, because it has to be bolder, it has to just be a little bit more flat. I don't want it to look too much like an actual dragon. Like in this particular case, we're showing the dragon head simply because it's Dragon Lance. We're showing the lance, we're not showing a dragon at all. And the dragon is actually creating the 40, but not in a literal sense throughout the entirety number of 40. So it's just a sort of like a suggestion almost. Oof, we don't want to do that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to play with that a little bit more. All right, so this is the direction that I'm leaning toward for this. Let's look at a version that is a little more literal. Move this closer. You think the 40th might look better because the years is encroaching on the flame burst now. You mean 40 without the years and just 40? Yeah, definitely feeling old, Sean. Thanks for tuning in. Definitely pairs nicely with the DragonLance logo. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'll have to play with it a little bit. But I do want to see a little more illustrative version. So, because this is a dragon's head, I want to see the outline of this body. So he's actually making the 4 with his neck turning. And actually, it would end up going a little bit higher than it actually is right now, because what we want to do is have a nice natural curvature that doesn't feel like it's beholden to anything. So let's see what we can do with this. We'll close it here. Oh, nope. So we'll have this be this color. So it does look a little bit more curving. And then if this top part here of the 4, maybe that's where we have our wing, right? So let me use a little white. Oh, let me do this really quick too, because this is going to bug me. Nope. Vertical strokes could be the wing. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. So what I want to see is this wing to come up on a shoulder. I've always liked the wings to have like a horn or like a claw. You know, almost like a dew claw or something on an animal. And then I want to see like a little bit of like a bone protrusion or something. And then it just swings down all the way, just aggressively. And at the end of these, we might even have a little bit of like another claw at the end. You know what I mean? Come on now. I need a thicker claw than that. I need a intentional, like, don't mess with this wing claw. Yeah, and then we'll probably have more than that, but it'll like come curving back up. Maybe even close somewhere like this. Ooh, we don't want that. Here, let's fix that. Where are you? Why can't I see that? What the? Oh, there you are. Why the hell can't I see that? That's odd. You see it when I start to move it, but you don't see it on its own. So I have to totally guess where it is. That's crazy. All right, so let's do a little bit of line weight change with this one, just so we can see what we're looking at. And this inside is going to be a little bit... Come on, yo. All right, and we got to put this down behind. What the... Okay, 4. You get behind then. There we go. All right, where's that coming from? Oh, yeah, that's the... We don't need that anymore. All right. I want it above that line. All right, so we have the basic shape. Let me get rid of this little thing there. You got the basic shape of a curved wing, but the wing has multiple strokes. You know what I mean? The vertical stroke could be the wing. Yeah, that's what we're doing here. So what I want to see, this right here needs to go back there. I want to see this is a folded up wing, so I want to see the different folded pieces of the wing sort of coming through as well. So this is going to be underneath this layer. Maybe some of these ones are a little bit like more wicked looking. Come on, you. Let's get one more. So these will actually be down underneath. Why is that there? What am I doing here? Something is weird with this. It's not letting me see the anchor point edges. Oh, this is going to drive me insane. I wonder if I just have to close it and reopen it. For now, actually here, I don't need the white. So this can actually be the same color as that. Oop, nope, I want that white there. These can be dark, but I want the inside of this wing, or the outside here, as it were, to be that color. And if that's the case, do we need this at all? This descender? Or can we just close that off and just have that be our 40? Because ultimately we're talking about this. Where's the inside of that? Come here. Nope. Nope. If this is the dragon doing it. I also always like the idea of a dragon having like breastplate, like you see in the basic set when I was a kid. It has like a nice breastplate. So the dragon's body itself would curve back around. Its arms and stuff would be much thicker here. So we would actually see the backside, like its other wing over up in this space right here. I'm not sure if I actually want to go that far and show that, but I do want to sort of thicken this up. Let's send that back. Because what we're going to do is have this become... Oh, dang it. Stop it. Stop it. What is going on? this is going to become the actual dragon's body here. So it's actually moving, curving around to create the O. So when we see the bottom here, oh, give me a second here. Why are you doing this? I've got to restart this because it's not letting me see it, and that's going to drive me insane. This wing has to be above that. Oop, nope. Above that shape I just made. Oh, it is right here. Why is that looking like that? It's looking a little bit wonky there. So maybe this is actually like a lot higher up in order to make sense of it sort of curving around. And we need this maybe to be a lot, oops. Deeper in. Because right now all we're doing is creating shapes, right? We're going to be adding in details of it here in just a second. I mean, we can just start doing that now if we want. Let's just add a, let me get a nice brighter color for highlights. Maybe something like that. And because this is the illustrated version of it, we can kind of just have some fun with it. So, and we've got sort of like scaled upper lip. You know what? This is the problem. I'm not utilizing my layers properly. I need to use a highlight and a shadow layer. That's what I need to be doing. So the front here is the highlight layer. And that just completely and you have to bear with me because this is in progress, right? We're just starting this. So it is going to change a little bit as we go. But I like the idea of, you know, just sort of indication of scale work in the highlights. And not all of the dragons body is going to be looking the same. Meaning, you know, it's going to be a stronger highlight in the front than it is on the back, for example. So let's add some like sort of scaly lip pieces. And get a nice chin sort of wrap here. And we want, let me add a shadow layer so we can see what that looks like too. Take care, Goldman. Thanks for stopping in. Let's see. Get shadows here. You see how they're underneath that layer? We're just sort of blob brushing it in because we know that it's going to go underneath. But it is going to go over the original artwork layer, which is what we're looking for. I can deal with that in a second. And these things are going to be like sort of bony. Let's add that. I'm not sure I like that. I'm going to get some complementary colors in here. Use a little green as part of the shadow, but we want it to blend in nicely, so I'm going to use the multiply blending mode. And we'll just see what it looks like. It might look like shit and not work out at all. It's like super, super dark. No, I don't think that's going to work out at all. We'll have to use a deeper red. Maybe not that deep. We can do a touch of green here and just go a little brighter. Is that darker? I want it to be. Yeah, it is. Oh wait, it's still using the blending mode. There. I'm going to have to keep that line layer up higher and see how I want to do this. Why is that color? I'm not okay with the way these are looking. Basically, the texture is going to have to be added and subtracted a lot. So I'm going to want to make sure that not only am I keeping... here, let's do this one. Yeah, that's just too much. That's going to bother me. Maybe it's just too bright. Maybe that's the problem. Select same fill color. Let's just make it a little darker. Oh no, I did fill, not stroke. Why are you doing this? Let me lock these other layers. That way I can just select all this at once and just sort of adjust it on my own. So you can see a much cleaner sort of logo look versus a little bit more illustrative. And then I would end up doing this entire piece here. So let me just sort of add some shadow so we can see my thoughts. So the dragon's neck comes around, it goes underneath the wing, and then we've got a sort of like a shoulder indication of like the shoulders moving down and around. Let me fill that in a little bit more. Let's see, so that the spine is going along the back here. I'm just going to do an indication of the spine for everyone to see. And then it comes down here. And I want the spine to curve back underneath and around the back side. And then maybe this part here is the tail that comes back down and around. So even the tail comes up here. But if we're doing a spine, I want to see some horns on this spine. And maybe we have like, originally, I'm just going to do like the dark parts here to sort of indicate the horn. And then I'll come in and do a lighter part. The highlights and stuff of it. But I do kind of want to see what this sort of horn indication is going to sort of be like. Maybe not all the horns are the same size, you know, sometimes they're bigger. Sometimes they're just tiny little spiky things. And maybe they're not even all in the same line. Maybe you have some like on the outside, right? I'm just sort of sketching it in now. I just want to kind of see what it's going to go here. And do the horns, do they get bigger the further down you go? So you can't really see the angle of it until you get sort of to a side. And you sort of lose it because you're going right around the back side. But then it starts to come back as it curves back around down here to our tail. And what do we have, like a bifurcated tail possibly? I mean, maybe we do something like that. We have a bit of like a twisting curvature. And it's not meant to be like a literal, dragon's body, because it still has to make the 4 and the 0. But you get a sort of an indication. And like I said before, I like dragons with like these plates. So maybe we get these sort of indication of plates on the stomach. And you wouldn't see it here, but you would start to see it basically right here. as it curves around. And then it sort of comes back the other way and you start to not see it again as the spine is curving up and around. So yeah, I think, I don't know. Should I develop the illustrative version more? Or should I work solely with this sort of cleaner logo looking version? You know what I mean? Let me know. Because the illustrative version might look pretty good once I'm done with it. I mean, right now it's just a bunch of shapes and blobs and stuff like that. But let me give you an indication of sort of the look I'm looking at here. I did a Star Wars logo here. So this is a Nerf skull, you know, scruffy looking Nerf herder. It's like a cow, basically. But this is kind of the style that I would be going with on the illustrative version, where you just have these sort of layers of colors sort of overlapping each other, creating indications. So it is very, very illustrative versus a flat logo look. And so that's what I'd be doing here, is just adding like layers of blocks of color in order to create this dragon form. It still has to be kind of abstract so that you can see the 4-0, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. I've already been going for 2 hours, so I'm not going to sit here and finish this all, but you get the idea of what I'm looking at this point. So just let me know in chat, logo or illustration. What do you prefer me to work on? Because ultimately it's probably going to be put together something like this. This isn't the finished 40, so you know that's just sort of where I am right now. So Curtis likes the illustration. That's good. Just for curiosity's sake, let's see what the illustration as it is right now, what it looks like with the actual logo. Come on now. Oh, that's why. It's clearly not finished. So maybe I'd have the wing overlapping. You know, this wing part would overlap the DragonLance logo so that it does feel like it's sort of intermixed together. Sean's 50-50. It will. I know this doesn't look good yet. It will. This is all sketch work. It will look good. So, yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think. I do like the idea of like totally transforming into a illustration dragon. The only problem I have with it is that in this context, mixed with the DragonLance logo, it could be too much. And the one thing I really hated about the Saga system version, like the WotC version of the DragonLance logo with, you know, Malastrix leaning over the logo, I just didn't like a realistic or an illustrated looking dragon encroaching on the DragonLance logo. I like the purity, simplicity, and beauty of the DragonLance logo in and of itself. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a struggle to decide which direction I'm going to end up going in. But thank you guys so much for your input. I think even if I do go in this direction, I'll still do an illustration version just for fun and maybe incorporate that in like the closing video. So you just see, you know, this sort of illustrated dragon. I think that might look kind of cool. Anyway, I am looking for your guys's input here for the 40th anniversary content. So it doesn't have to be a video, but it can be. It doesn't have to be a piece of art, but it can be. Maybe it's just you writing down how you feel about DragonLance, how you were introduced to it, what it means to you. And ultimately, here, let me show you what I'm going to be doing here. Let me open up my website and then I'll show you guys. Wow, what is going on with my internet? It's super slow. Maybe it's because I'm streaming. All right, where's my 40th anniversary pages here? Here, let me show you. If it ever loads. This is the back end of my website. Give me a second. All right. Oh man, my caps lock is on. So what I'm going to be doing is everyone that, if you submit your video, if you don't have a YouTube channel to host yourself, I'll have the logo up top. And so it'll show like the logo where the Dragonlance 40th anniversary celebration is. It's a little bit of introduction. I'm on a 4K screen, and so you're seeing a whole bunch of white space, and normally you wouldn't see that much. But you can email me your contribution by clicking on the link on the 40th anniversary page of my website, and then it'll be broken out, so it'll show little like individual page representations, but then you can go to the full list and you'll see a whole list of everyone who did written contributions, whether it's you just sharing your story. You don't have to have any imagery if you don't want to, but you can. I have artistic contributions, so people are going to be sending in images and pictures and paintings and illustrations that they've done. It doesn't matter the quality. If you're if you're not a professional, that's okay. I'll have a whole list of those, and then I'll have a whole list for the video ones. So the video ones you host on your own YouTube channel. If you don't have a YouTube channel to host on, or you don't want to host it on your channel, you can send it to me and I'll host it, but they'll all be listed there. So you can come to this one page and see every single style of style of contribution by the individual contributors. So it's not one video that this is going to be. This is going to be everyone just putting in everything that they think. You could put in more than one. If you want to do a little written piece and you want to do a picture, if you want to do a video and send in some pictures and a written piece, that's fine. Just share your connection with Dragonlance, why you think it's worth celebrating on its 40th anniversary. And together, we can all celebrate this year, this wonderful fantasy setting, in the absence of anyone else doing anything. And I think I'm going to be doing a video that points people to this location. I'm also going to do a call for submissions video that also points them here after I'm done with the logo. So look for that. But I'm going to unveil the whole thing in November. So you do have some time to work on this. I will be reminding everyone every single month that I'm looking for submissions and that submissions are due by the end of October. So think about it. I really want to see what you guys have to say about Dragonlance. And if this ends up just being me with just my one video, that's okay. But I would really like to see the community step up and contribute as well, because that's what this is. This is a communal game. We sit around a table and we laugh and we get taken to a different world altogether, forget about our professional lives and the troubles that we have in our lives and the crap that's going on around the world. And we just immerse ourselves in this wonderful fantasy experience together. Let's celebrate that together, That's kind of what it's built for. Thank you for the donation to the Wounded Warriors Project, Curtis. I really do appreciate that. So think about it. You can always email me at info@dlsaga.com for more information. Leave a comment in the video if you want more information, and I'll give it to you. But the 40 years is coming, and we're going to be celebrating here, people. So join in. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. I really do appreciate your guys' time and attention for this very, very long video here. What did you think of the beginnings of this logo? Would you have made different decisions about this logo design? And if so, what are they? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or leave a comment below. I would like to remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. This is all to help other Dragonlance fans like you and me find this channel and its content. And this channel isn't about me. That's why it's called DragonLance Saga. It's about this campaign setting, this wonderful world that Laura and Tracy Hickman started and was informed by Margaret Weiss and Jeff Grubb and Douglas Niles and Harold Johnson and every other contributor that put their heart and soul into game products and novels. And it continues to this day, 40 years later, because of how wonderful it truly is. So thank you so much for joining that celebration. Until next time, for Dragonlance Saga, my name is Adam Slanjavar.